Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. And Jackson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
I don't know what I was thinking I was going to set you up with.
I don't know, but I like the suspension. It was kind of it set the tone and the pace for what this podcast is going to be.
Of constant suspense.
Correct.
And terrible pacing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for starters, I would qualify all of my stuff as suspenseful. For the past couple weeks and continuing because we're still not getting to watch these teams play. Good. But our season previews do continue. This week we're talking Cincinnati Hills League and then the CMAC. 2 teams from each, some of the star players, all that good stuff. And then on your side, we've been bouncing around conferences. We're landing in the ACC, right?
Yeah. So we had all these media days recently, and as we we tried to cover them a little bit as they were coming on. Big 12 was easy. It was the first one, and then the SEC happened, and then the Big 10 and the ACC and the MAC all decided they would use the same week. And so we're kind of spreading those out a little bit. I wanted to listen into what Louisville football was kind of planning on. I want to do a deeper dive into Miami next week with the MAC and kind of look at that conference as a whole, which is going to be my little flex now that we're going to look at the ACC as a whole as well. Which is not something I actually prepared for, but we're going to do it.
But we were talking Louisville. I knew that much.
Yeah, we're talking Louisville, which is
Yeah.
important. But we're also going to just look at where Louisville stands within the conference.
I got you.
Which I think is an important thing to do, similar to Cincinnati, because they are not Ohio State.
Correct.
Which, to be fair, there's a little bit of contention whether Ohio State is the favorite in the Big Ten right now.
Who else would be?
Pennand and Oregon are the 3 that are listed.
We do the same thing with Penn State every year.
Yeah, and
like call me crazy.
The thing with Penn State is just that they are, like, on paper they should be the team that wins the Big Ten.
Yes, but I really do think Drew Aller is a good football player for a lot of games out of a season. The problem is I've also seen him play in big games, and those usually don't go great for him. Now, like Katron Allen and Nick Singleton and like those guys, like they're studs, and like it's a great team.
And they had a lot of defensive studs that didn't go to the draft.
Yes,
and that was the big thing that people were expecting to have happen. And so, yeah, I mean, like, would I still not put money on it? Yeah, I wouldn't.
That's fair.
But I can see there definitely being a world where this is finally the year that Penn State
does it,
grabs it by the horns type thing.
Maybe I don't know. I get so stuck in. It's Penn State. Like, they just can't do it because, like, if whenever they're at their height, Ohio State's at a higher height, or Michigan's at a higher height, or Oregon last year is at a higher height, and so it's like, I don't know. But this is not the Big Ten podcast this week, so I'll stop.
The college side of things is the Kentucky podcast because not only are we talking about Louisville football and what came out of the ACC media days, there are also some volleyball players who are playing internationally right now for both UK and Louisville. So I wanted to touch a little bit on what they are doing internationally and also what to expect from that heading into this season. Spoiler alert, it's good things.
There you go.
But let's kick it off with Louisville football. Okay. So the big story with this year, and kind of has been the story with Jeff Brom's whole tenure at Louisville at this point, is he's getting a transfer quarterback to come in and lead the Cardinals. So this year, it is going to be Miller Moss, who is a transfer from USC. He went 4-5 last year in 9 games that he played and started. He threw 64%, 55 yards, 18 touchdowns, and then was also the backup to Caleb Williams and was the quarterback when the Trojans beat Louisville in 2023 in the Holiday Bowl, 42-28, threw 6 touchdowns that day.
Yes.
Now, I will say this immediately. I don't think that bowl game is indicative of any level. Like, not to say that it's like, oh, well, he's bad. But it's like, yeah, he threw 6 touchdowns in a bowl game in the peak of when people were talking about, oh, players are leaving programs early, not even playing in bowl games. What impact is this really going to have? Or holding out from playing in bowl games, I should say.
Well, and NIL had really not picked up its foothold where people are like, oh, I could just totally stay and make more money than I could in the NFL.
Now, would Caleb Williams have?
No.
Probably not.
No.
And at the end of the day, I do think that there's a thing to be said about draft stock and not playing a bowl game that is essentially an exhibition to keep yourself healthy, to make yourself look a little better heading into the NFL draft and things like that.
Right.
But it's also that point where you can have guys like Miller Moss step up and who like maybe know they're going to be playing for another year, and it's kind of that first test, and so it's like that's that balance of the bowl games and things like that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been keeping track of Louisville's quarterback history, this is their transfer quarterback in 3 years. The first was Jack Plummer, who Jeff Brom coached at Purdue before Plummer transferred to Cal in 2022 and then came to Louisville. And then I believe entered the draft, and he is with the Carolina Panthers right now.
Like practice squad somewhere?
Practice squad or a backup. I mean, it's Bryce Young. I don't know what else they've got in that roster.
Yeah, I wanted to say I knew their backup, like their proper backup, but I don't.
Dude, I don't know most of their starters, so that's better than me. And then you have Tyler Shough last year.
Yes.
And I think if there's anything that can be said about Brom as a coach, it is that he raises the floor of his quarterbacks.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's interesting. Do you remember offhand what star rating Jack Plummer was coming out of high school?
Ooh, that is a good question. I want to say he was a 3-star.
Okay. Because I believe Shough and Moss were both 4 stars who have faced turmoil at their initial landing spots and now landed at Purdue. Like, I think that there's a lot of genetic similarity, at least as prospects.
You just said Purdue.
Oh, yes. That landed at Louisville.
Yes. Plummer was a 3-star, 88 overall score, according to 24/7 Sports. Okay. He was the 6th highest QB in Arizona, and I guess 17 overall.
Nationally or in the state?
It says pro, and I don't know what that means.
Pro-style quarterbacks.
Oh, okay. The 17th of pro-style quarterbacks.
Yes, the 17th best pro-style quarterback in that class.
Now, as a transfer, he has still been a 3-star, is the 35th quarterback, 471 overall.
Okay. So, yeah, like it's just I guess the comparison would more be between Shough and Miller, which, like, Shough also spent so many years bouncing around because of injury. And so we never really got to see his clear. Miller just didn't really impress at USC, which was a very not awesome USC to watch play football. Lincoln Riley's calling card being his offensive, abilities and playmaking was not there. It wasn't present.
And that's one of those key things that I think comes out of the difference between coaching styles within a subsection, where it's like Mike Leach was an offensive genius.
Yes,
he's a totally different coach to a quarterback in a way than Jeff Brom
is, or Lincoln
is, things like that. And so I think that while Lincoln is really good at drawing up the plays and creating something that's going to work, he's not as necessarily good at developing the guy.
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you look at the quarterbacks that succeeded under him, like Jalen Hurts. He came from Bama prior to. Caleb Williams was already a fantastic product by the time he got to the collegiate level and by the time he took over that job. Like, who else did he have? Oh, he had Baker.
Yeah, Baker.
And Baker was a transfer from Texas Tech. Like, a lot of the formidable stuff was not on Lincoln. And so, Miller kind of proved positive there that it was like, that's probably not where you need to start at least.
Yes, and that's why I think another and Brom at Purdue had David Blau's senior season, or had a junior and senior season, I should say, with David Blau. He had Elijah Sindelar, who was ready to be a mechanical engineer and just happened to be respectfully, but it was like he was the guy that I remember us doing stories about him where it was like he's the guy that's focusing on his studies that gets to play football. Yes. He's not the football guy that's also like, well, I need to have a backup plan.
Yes.
Blau wanted to be an NFL quarterback, went to the Lions, things like that. Blau, the 2 years he was under Hazel didn't look great.
No.
He was solid, but he didn't look great. And then he gets those 2 years with Brom and sets a Big Ten record against Ohio State and things like that. Then he has Sindelar for another year, and then it was kind of then he had his own recruits.
Yes.
So he has Aiden O'Connell, he has Jack Plummer. Everybody's looking at Plummer where it's like, okay, he's gonna build this guy into something great. Plummer doesn't really get there the way he wants him to. I believe he has an injury. They put in O'Connell, who's a walk-on, and O'Connell just kind of snaps into it, is surrounded by talent, which is another key thing about Brom that I think is key to his quarterbacks, because that was a Rondale Moore, David Bell, Devin Mockabee, who is still playing.
About David Bell.
Yeah, which I think is still on the Browns. But like there was a series of great named wide receivers, wide receiver talent that to throw to, that the guys like Blau and Sindelar didn't necessarily have throughout their entire careers with Purdue, and so that's the thing that I think it kind of you can tell that he's still trying to do here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Louisville is build a great team around a good quarterback and not build a good team around a great quarterback. Right. In a way that USC with Caleb Williams was, where Caleb is arguably a great prospect, great guy, great player. I don't know if he had necessarily higher talent above him to then push him forward. Kind of like, you look at Ohio State last year where it's like, Will Howard's good, but he also has some of the greatest wide receiving talent in the country. Right.
It's more like the Bama teams that were winning titles year over year, where you could legitimately – I mean, they made multiple quarterback swaps in the national title game and still won.
Tua to
Jalen to Tua.
Which is one of those funny things where it's like, okay, now both those guys are NFL quarterbacks, so are they really that bad?
True.
At the end of the day,
but even revising back to like when Jake Coker was winning the national titles or A.J. McCarron was their guy, it's a lot more of that than like the OU teams that Lincoln Riley coached, where it was like, oh, we have Baker, or we have Jalen, or we have Kyler Murray, and does it matter? Otherwise, they're going to win Heisman's. We're going to be a playoff team. We'll lose in the first round, but we're going to be an incredible offense off the back of our quarterback.
I was mentioning Kyler is a big one too, where it's like, he looked like he was going to be that guy, and then he kind of looked like what Caleb Williams was being taught it as.
Yeah, just a little and really the difference there is the height, in my opinion.
100%.
Because he would also obviously lose a little speed if he was a little taller, because you got to put on more weight. But then you really just have Caleb Williams at that point.
And I think if Caleb Williams was as addicted to double XP weekends, it also would have hurt him. But one of the quotes that Brom gave from ACC Media Days was, "We want guys that want to work hard and want to be a leader and play at a high level. Every one of them has different talents, and I think we're able to adapt, maybe as well as anybody, to what they do well and have a system that allows us to succeed at the things that they're really good at." And I think again that's always been a key with his offenses. And then he works with his brother Brian as an offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Mm-hmm. So the system that they have always made on offense, I think, just meshes and fleshes so well together. And then the defense is kind of where those questions sometimes come in. And they do have 15 transfers total this year. The defensive, there was a couple linebackers that were saying like they feel really close. This is like the closest they've felt as a team, which I think is an important aspect of that as well. But another big thing I think that isn't necessarily being always talked about with the Cardinals this year is that they have eight home games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I guess all three of their non-cons, and then you have one more than in the conference.
Yep.
Because ACC plays 9, right?
No. Yes.
They'd have to, right? Well, no, because I guess you could just do 4 non-con. Never mind.
Yeah. No, because they have. Because Louisville has 4 non-conference to start.
Well, then then they play 8. They play 8 conference games.
Yeah, because I'm trying to because I know they're playing Bowling Green and they're playing Eastern Kentucky and James Madison. Yeah, and then they play Kentucky.
Okay,
so 4.
Yeah.
Because they have the protected, or they keep the rivalry going with the Governor's Cup, which is at home in Louisville this year. So that'll be interesting for how that kind of plays out with home field advantages and things like that. Notably, first practice for the Cardinals is today, which is Wednesday the 30th. And then the first game is just a month away against Eastern Kentucky on August 30th.
God, cannot wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Who are our good 0-week matchups this year? Do we know? I haven't delved off into the schedule again. I like to, because while you do that, I will give a little bit of backstory on myself. I am not good at remembering a schedule, like in the slightest. And so, like, I can't, like, I'll figure out what games I'm watching on Wednesday before Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't keep it straight.
So I think the best game that day is arguably the Iowa State-Kansas State in Dublin.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be at 11.
Yeah.
There's also Fresno State at Kansas.
Fun. Jalen Daniels back for year 28.
Yeah. Sam Houston at Western Kentucky actually would be really fun.
Yeah.
And then you have Stanford at Hawaii at 6:30 that night as well. There's also an Idaho State UNLV game, but I don't know what time that would be.
Stanford Hawaii is a beautiful nightcap for 0-week. I'm all the way into that schedule.
My only complaint with it is, why are they playing it like the middle of the day in Hawaii? It should be past midnight on Eastern time.
It.
That's what Hawaii is there for.
Right, but like no, because like okay, listen. When we get to week 1, when there's 70 games being played, yes, I'm with you.
Okay, but when there's 9,
yes, don't do that to me on 0-week.
Don't make me wait until midnight.
Correct. Don't. I cannot. I need to be eased into this, Brad.
Yeah.
I cannot just fall into the deep end of the pool.
But I was gonna say the other thing, and I'll see if you wanna. Do you want to give me an idea of where you think Louisville finishes in the ACC this year?
Ooh, okay. So the teams that I think I'm pretty confident are better than them is a very short list, because Clemson is the only one that immediately comes to mind. Just because Dabo is Dabo.
Which is funny because that was like, I saw there was a quote of one reporter trying to be like, so you guys beat Clemson last year. Do you have that game circled this year? And Brown was like, yeah, along with the other 12 games on the schedule.
But like, come on, Brown. Like, we know Clemson is highlighted because Clemson has been the big dog of the ACC for a long time now. Yeah. But I do think, like, Kate Klubnik is like a Heisman contender in my mind. And, like, they have an extremely talented team. And I think a lot of what they did last year was built to this year. So I would say that I'm going to say that Louisville is in the same bucket as SMU and Miami. And I really don't have that much faith in Miami. So actually, give me second in the ACC behind Clemson.
Okay. I was going to say if you do like a tier, a tiering.
They would be A tier. Clemson would be the only team in S.
Is S. Okay.
And then I would put SMU and Louisville in A tier. And then it would be like Miami. I'm really intrigued by what Manny Diaz does at Duke. That's like kind of my favorite thing to watch right now.
Okay.
So Manny Diaz, I think I would sneak into that B tier. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Chapel Hill.
I'm not gonna be here a month out from the first games and be like, UNC running the ACC this year.
Bill Belichick having to adjust to the collegiate landscape does not give me confidence.
And you know what? If he comes out and they're a top 3 team this year, I'll go, yeah, he can do it.
Yeah.
Like he's got it.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from him as a coach.
No.
He is the greatest NFL football coach of all time. And I have no qualm saying that. But he got old. He is old. Yeah. After Brady left, he was kind of out of juice. And like, I understand he took a year off and maybe he's revitalized and whatever, but it's like it's the same reason I'm not like going crazy that Dan Mullen's down in Vegas now. And like being like, oh, they're gonna win a lot of games. Like, I don't know that, because like you take that break and you look creatively washed, feels strong, but tired. You look creatively tired. I'm not gonna have that much confidence in it, especially when it kind of reads like he took the job to spend a year or two in Chapel Hill and then give his son the head coaching job.
Yeah, and kind of I think also in a way prove himself again to get. I do think his last couple of years in New England, like, not to speak for him, but we're like feel like an ego hit in a way where it's like, oh, I was the greatest, and we were not good. Mm-hmm. Can I do? Was it me? Is it something else? I'm going to go here and I'm going to prove it wasn't me. is kind of the thing.
And that's totally fair. I also wish he would have come in a little bit earlier because, like, he was very much like the only quarterback he really could choose was Gio Lopez from South Alabama. Like, he wasn't able to be in the Mateer sweepstakes, or I'm not a believer by any means, but the Carson Beck sweepstakes, or like in that Nico Iamaleava, which I know he came up late and could have had a chance, but like
I don't think Belichick wants that.
No, but I also don't know that Chapel Hill would have had the NIL allotment, even if he did, to kind of push towards that. And so I'm curious, like, if he can win 8 games this year, I'm like, whoa, okay, because this isn't his roster by any means. He just coached these guys into it. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I was going to say with Louisville, in my head, 10-2.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Also, while we are talking ACC teams, I do want to give a shout out to Syracuse because they are intriguing me. They would still be somewhere between B and C tier, but like Fran Brown might have something going on.
Actually, and I'll say this: 10-2 is my
prediction.
No, not my prediction, but my
ceiling, floor.
No. The like safe.
Okay.
My safe bet.
Yeah.
My overly conservative bet.
I think the Vegas line's probably 10.5.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this and I go, the question mark is probably,
or maybe it's just
Clemson and Miami.
Yes. Is it in Miami?
They're in Miami. They're at Louisville with Clemson.
Yeah, I don't like. Again, the Clemson thing. I understand that Louisville beat them last year, but like, there's something feels different in the water this time. To me.
And it's a shift, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, and I do think that because it's the non-con is Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, Bowling Green.
Do they have Pitt or NC State on there?
They have Pitt. 4th game. Okay. It's the first ACC game is Pitt.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh.
Yes. Yeah. Narduzzi scares me. He always scares me.
I don't find Narduzzi frightening right now because I don't know what that team has.
Eli Holstein is kind of interesting to me. Their quarterback, but like you're right. Like, it is a mystery bag, and I'm not going to say Louisville's going to lose that game.
Yeah.
But that is immediately where I'm like, Louisville could totally start 0-1, and it wouldn't totally shock me in ACC play.
Yes. No. And that's the Pitt special too.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, they beat Louisville, but then they lose to Virginia.
Yes. Yeah, like Vautech came into their home and beat them by 12. And it's like, oh, no.
But, yeah, it's Pittsburgh, Virginia, Miami, Boston College, Tech, Cal, Clemson, SMU, Kentucky.
Okay.
To close out the year. So.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that they beat Kentucky by like quite a lot.
Yeah, I do too. That's why, again, I'm like 10-2, 11-1.
Yeah.
But I also can see them playing for the ACC championship this year.
Yeah, I think that
again,
it would probably be an abject disappointment of a season if they're not playing for
the
ACC
also
title.
Unless SMU is scary this year.
Yes.
I think that's what I'm discounting in my head. But it's another one where I'm like, I don't really know what SMU is going to bring out. Unlike, I feel like I have a little bit of a pull on some other teams.
Right. Like, I know Kevin Jennings is back, but like otherwise it's kind of a question mark. I do really like Rhett Lashley as a coach. I think that he'll probably get, honestly, he might take that Arkansas job after Pittman's gone because he's from the region. But either way, I think that he could be in for some 9-10 win fireworks this year again.
Yeah.
Guess we'll see. But it's a stronger ACC, so I don't really want to say that he's going to be a playoff team again.
Yes. And I don't know if we're going to do exactly how we did things last year, where we go through every game and talk things over. But we'll definitely be keeping tabs on Louisville and things like that because it's just going to be an interesting sport. And I'll be honest, I'm a little biased. I like following Jeff Brom. So it's fun for me to watch.
Listen, I like following Jeff Brom too because he's a really good coach.
Yeah.
And like in the back of my head, the next time an Ohio State or a Notre Dame, or I don't know if he's Catholic or not, but like an LSU or like one of these like territorially massive jobs, he is automatically a candidate to me.
Yeah, I think the only thing about that is just that he is a Louisville guy.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he would want to leave.
Totally. And hopefully I hope he doesn't. I hope that he just keeps roots down because college football is better whenever you have that.
When you have an established coach who cares about a program, I think is so much more important than winning.
Yeah.
All the time.
Especially when it's at their alma mater.
Yeah.
Like, you know how bad I wanted Scott Frost to be good?
Yeah.
That did not happen.
But it's like he's made UCF home now.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, good. You're back home where you belong. Stay there.
Kind of like Heupel at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Obviously has his OU ties, but
honestly.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Is it high school time?
Let's shift over to high school now. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and because I was, if we hadn't added on that little bit, I was going to make a joke about, well, talking, as we talk about ponies, let's let's lasso them up. Let's talk about some Cowboys instead.
It's a shame that we didn't get that.
Yeah, but no, we were talking about the CHL and the CMAC today.
Yes, sir.
Giving us our two teams that you are keeping an eye on as likely contenders for the top of the conferences.
Yeah, and don't be confused. We are in the high school ranks, even though we are talking about the Wyoming Cowboys. Go Pokes at the collegiate level. Well, and I guess the high school level. I hope these kids do good. But Wyoming last year, they were 11-1, 33.5 points per game, 13.7 allowed. Only won one playoff game, beating Schroeder 49-14, then lost 42-0 to Alter, a GCL co-ed team, which we will talk about next week. Not necessarily Alter, but their conference. I was also at, and I wanted to make mention of it, the game that essentially locked up the CHL for Wyoming when they beat Indian Hill 23-13. There's a player that I want to talk about that featured in that game, removed from the two teams that we talk about today. But they looked very impressive in that game, gave me a lot of confidence in putting them on this list, especially considering a lot of the guys that I remember leading that game and being like, he was good. I remember these moments from this guy. A lot of them are back.
Okay.
One of the guys that absolutely caught my eye, Joel Hancock, he graduated. He was a 1,500-yard running back, and then they're losing quite a bit of defensive production. Jess Hauer was the tackling leader, and then Alan Doolin had 11.5 sacks. So, you got to get in where you fit in on defense. Some of the guys that are returning that I want to make note of, David Dupuis, their quarterback, over 2,000 pass yards, 56.4 completion rate, 22 touchdowns, 4 interception, and then dropped over 300 yards in that playoff game against Schroeder that I mentioned. The running back room didn't really sell me too much as to who's going to take over there, so that'd be a cool one to watch. Josiah Galt, playmaker, capital P. 879 yards, 32 catches. Works out to 27.5 yards per catch.
Yeah.
Crazy. Dude is explosive.
That's nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It's video game numbers. Legitimately. Like, after the first week of College Football 25, whenever I'm playing a new season, and a receiver has 3 catches for 112 yards, and I go, what am I doing?
What Chico did I turn
right.
Yeah.
But that's Josiah Galt at this point, And
it's not just on the offensive side of the ball.
Right. Yeah. He's got 3 interceptions and a pick 6, too, to his name. Like, dude's a playmaker. Dude gets after it. Tyler Johnson Huff, another receiver, but really we're focused on his defensive output. Yeah. Over 100 receiving yards, but 106 tackles, 4 sacks, 11 tackles for loss.
He's 6 tackles from having more tackles than receiving yards.
Correct. Yes. And I think he was only 6 tackles behind Jess Hauer last year. So pretty. Okay. Who's going to be leading your team on that front? Shouldn't be that hard to find. And
go ahead and touch on the next player, and then I'll do my little thing that I drew my eyes with all of this.
Okay. Drew Botchian. He's a receiver / D-back, almost 200 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns on that side, but 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. Dude gets after the ball, stays around it at all times.
And so I would just when you started reading this, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we have a quarterback, that's cool, and I'm gonna look at that, and I'm like, okay, and then we got a guy that's a wide receiver. Oh, and he also got some stuff on defense, and then I'm going down. I'm like, oh, you have 3 wide receivers returning.
Yes. Yep.
Even if they are a more if I'm looking, I look at that and I go, okay, well, Galt and Boschian are your 1 and 2, and you put Johnson Huff in the slot, and you let Dupuis just throw over and have fun.
And a lot of these guys, like you said, have that two-way ability, and they're all juniors. All 4 of them are juniors. So they'll have this year and next year to continue to get better with each other.
So you have next year to also talk about them.
Correct.
All
yeah. Oh, yeah. You can pretty much lock it in that we will be talking about the Wyoming Cowboys for the teams I'm watching for the 2026 high school football season as well.
Does that, and I'll call that inexperience with air quotes, of just only being juniors, worry you at all?
No, because they they got their what I would consider the important thing of junior year, which is learning how to play together and like be a starter. They all got that together last year as sophomores. Yeah. This much production. Josiah Galt as a sophomore had almost 900 receiving yards and 3 interceptions. And then David Dupuis, like in a not primarily passing offense, still had over 2,000
and over 20 touchdowns.
Exactly, while minimizing his interceptions. Yeah. So like he's already where I want him to be. Josiah Galt's already an explosive playmaker. You've got dudes that as sophomores were having more than 100 tackles or more than 2 turnovers forced as a defensive player. It's coming together really, really well.
Let me hit you with this question now.
Okay.
Their loss to Alter last year.
Yes.
42-0. Mm-hmm. Is it just a like? Is it just the numbers are bigger at Alter, so all the guys, is it a mismatch type thing? Is it just something didn't click in that game?
I think it's tricky because the Hills League is a smaller, like by naturally, like you're gonna have a smaller student body.
Sure.
And by proxy of that, like when you have that larger school mass, like your O-lines are going to be bigger, your defensive playmakers are going to be bigger. Like it's just, I think that they were undersized, and I think a lot of the youth and still trying to grow into their frames, still trying to become fully fledged athletes as they get closer to college. Okay. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think if they played again this year, it's closer. Alter still probably wins just because of the nature of the beast. But in terms of like just pure skill and ability, like when you take the size out of it, I do think Wyoming is kind of at the forefront of that for their division. And I'm curious to see how much bigger these kids have gotten this year, because I do think that's going to play a rather large role in how their playoff chances go next year.
Okay. And let me ask you this now, because I know you mentioned the Indian Hill game.
Yes.
Do you want to mention the Indian Hill player?
We can talk about Devlin Daniel.
Yeah.
He is horrifying. Yeah. Like I think the other day on the podcast I briefly mentioned Cole Coops and Josh Ringer were the 2 running backs that I remember leaving games and being like, that was scary to watch. Ringer obviously at Miami now, but I think that Devlin Daniel could enter that conversation. I have not seen that much of Devlin. I believe the only Indian Hill game I've been to was the Wyoming game. Okay. But last year he had over 2,200 rush yards. He had 34 touchdowns across the season. He's a junior coming into this. He in theory, like it was hard to leave Indian Hill off this list just because it's like, how can you not, like,
how can you not talk about it when you have a player,
the best player in the conference?
If I may, he's kind of like a Ponatoski.
Yes.
Because he's also really good at baseball.
But yes, he is very much a Ponatoski, but he's also like, he's not necessarily isolated, but it's like it's so clear that he is destined to be a D1 athlete.
Yeah.
That it's like, at the high school level, you just don't have a lot of those.
Yeah.
And so like you see that and you're like, oh my gosh.
I need to watch this guy for
all
these years.
Exactly. And you don't have the inherent like syncopation and ability to, like that list of kids that I just read off for Wyoming. Like it's a core group of fundamental bouncing back and forth like resources. Yeah. Where it's like the Devlin Daniel show definitely deserves some light, and Indian Hill does have some other talented guys on that roster, but it's hard to put them in the same ballpark.
It's a very close 2B to a 1 and 2A type thing that you have.
I spent a good amount of time debating between Indian Hill and Taylor on this list, and I did obviously end up going in the direction of the Yellow Jackets.
Yes.
So why don't we talk about them now?
Hit it.
Yeah, 10-3 last year, 29.3 points per game, 14.1 allowed. They had a little bit better of a playoff run before ultimately losing to Alter as well. They beat Urbana 43-6, Valley View 42-10, lost to Alter 37-13. Okay. Again, same issues. You lean more into the size of the student body and the whatnot.
Sure.
I really like how many guys they have returning, because like really the most notable grad I had was Brody Lemon, who led the team in tackles, 10.5 sacks, 23.5 tackles for loss, but there's a reason to believe that production will be made up. Okay. The returning stars that we want to point to, Charlie Cantz, obviously the quarterback, 2,400 pass yards, over 56% completion rate, 28 touchdowns, 14 picks. Need to see that clean up. But in your sophomore campaign, 14 interceptions is not a backbreaker. We've seen kids, get significantly better over the years, and I do think that he'll sharpen up his accuracy, limit those turnovers this year. Easton Shrimpf, who has maybe one of the best names in the Tri-State. It's fantastic. Yes. Jeremy Rao, big Easton Shrimpf fan, of at least in namesake and, calling games.
Yeah.
Over 900 rushing yards, 5.9 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. Aaron McFarland, legitimate star receiver. Has I want to say that he was offered Eastern Carolina was his best one. He has a 24/7 page, so you'll be able to find that while I talk. Over 1,000 yards on 74 catches, 15 touchdowns, and then on the defensive side, I know he's being scouted as a receiver, but he's also has a forced fumble, 3 interceptions, and a pick 6 to his name last year as well. So,
allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
He has Eastern Carolina, East Carolina, Kent State, Marshall, Miami, Toledo, UMass, West Virginia.
Yes.
As offered.
Yeah.
And then also Indiana State and Eastern Kentucky, but I felt like those weren't as big of.
Correct. Yeah, they're not on that.
Respectfully.
Yeah. No disrespect intended, but it's D1 and but yeah, he's going to go play college ball somewhere. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure to keep your eyes on him. And then whenever I referenced Brody Lemon graduating, Mike Branch is the guy that I've turned my focus to, at least in the Saxton tackles for loss category. He had 79 tackles last year, 7 sacks, 18 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles. Entering his senior campaign, I'd imagine those numbers take a tick up.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Very interesting teams. Very top heavy, well, not top heavy, but there's a really tough race at the top between those 3 schools. I know we didn't delve off into Indian Hill, but they do absolutely deserve to be mentioned.
Does it feel like an anybody's ball game to take the conference from those 3?
I would say that it's kind of an ACC situation for me.
Okay.
I think it's Clemson, which would be Wyoming.
Yep.
And then I think you have your Taylor and your Indian Hill that are kind of where your SMU, your Louisville, your Miami, your Chapel Hill.
That something could happen and they pass, but on paper again, it looks like Wyoming.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the direction that I would lean as of now.
All righty.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the CMAC then next.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Continue our journeys around the Tri-State.
So, fun fact here. The first game I ever went to for this first team, I almost got knocked on my rear because they were celebrating a touchdown on the sideline, and I did not have my eyes up, and the swarm came, and I got a little shoulder check.
I thought you were going to say you got dove into on the sidelines.
No.
We weren't prepared for it.
No. But while that is not by any means a negative, I would actually qualify that as a positive point for Taft because that's how excited they were to celebrate with their guys, that they were not paying attention to where the camera guy was.
Yeah.
And I respect that, honestly. No, that's not their job. But last year they did go 12-3. They technically finished second in the red division because Withrow started 0-6, went on a 5-0 run. It was such a strange, and congratulations to them, but went 5-0 in the conference to end up winning that division.
Okay.
And then they beat Taft, I believe, by 6. It was 19-13. I didn't write it down, but it was a very close game.
Sure.
They won 4 playoff games. Taft did by a combined 150-27 before losing 29-20 against. I'm just going to call them Indian Valley.
Yeah.
Because that first name is a little tricky.
Probably Noddenhuten.
Noddenhuten? Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess.
I know we're in a German-ish region, so sure.
My roots are Italian, so I can't help you there.
And I'm Southern, so good luck. But
good native.
Yeah, it was not going to be pretty.
Or
whatever. It would have been more insulting for me to try that for anybody that might be from that region.
Yeah.
They had 39.6 points per game last year, 8.6 allowed. Head coach Tyler Williams had his guys dialed in last year, and he has a lot of quality returning, kind of their 3 pillar stones, or their 3 cornerstones, I guess.
Yeah.
All coming back. Monsana Torbert was a personal favorite of mine to watch.
Was a name I remember.
Yes. And you also probably remember him from basketball because he's also a basketball player.
Also makes sense.
Yes. these kids are just freak athletes.
Yeah.
And you figure that out by watching Monsana because he had over 1,800 passing yards and then 800 rushing yards. So, it was like 2,700 all told. 71.1% completion rate, 23 touchdowns passing, 10 rushing touchdowns, and then 2 picks. Yeah.
That's nice.
Accurate, mobile, efficient, gets it done, doesn't turn the ball over. Like, he was a guy that, like, I don't know, and, like, obviously we're responsible for giving a lot of people shine on this episode or on this podcast, but I don't know that I gave him enough last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was a really good player, and I think that went under the radar, and I think we got to make a little bit of it up as he went into the playoffs.
But that's always one of the core things with this, where there's going to be a lot of times that we can't always talk about a player or a team, and when we can make up for it, that's what we're going to do. And so I think it's good to bring him up now, and especially because he still has 2 more years.
Absolutely, yeah. This is just his junior campaign. Yeah. And Eddie Holloway, his star receiver, also returning for his junior year, 856 yards on 46 catches. That's a pretty good rate. I think it's like 18 if I'm doing the head math right.
17, something like that.
And then 10 touchdowns. So 10 of Monsana's 23 into the hands of Eddie Callaway. So they're Holloway rather. So they are a duo. And then this is the one that really scares me. Bryce Brewster.
Okay.
Monster.
Oh.
Yeah, monster. Read that line for me, Brad.
114 tackles, 20 sacks, and 19 tackles for loss.
Yeah. And he is coming into his senior campaign.
That's a third of his tackles are for loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a demon, dude. He is very, very good at football. I didn't check to see if he's being recruited, but I sure hope he is. And Bryce, honestly, that's on me because, like, I should have seen those numbers and been like, oh, he's going somewhere. Especially because, like, Taft gets eyes.
He is a hard commit to Bowling Green.
Oh, there you
State.
Go. Yeah, BGSU.
BGSU under Eddie George now.
Yes, that's really fun. I really like when former players go to coaching. Yeah. But either way, Bryce Brewster gonna be a guy this year. Gonna be a guy at Bowling Green State, I'm sure. So keep your eyes peeled on the Senators. And then the last one we'll talk about within the CMAC, talking CCPA. Okay. The Cincinnati College Prep Academy Lions, 9-3 last year, 28 points per game, 13.6 allowed, won playoff games against Southeastern Local and Fort Loramie before a 42-0 loss to Minster. Okay. Now, I think Minster's a bit of a powerhouse. Sure. So, it's just kind of a buzzsaw that sometimes you run into. Mm-hmm. Of their returning stars, they actually have a quarterback that was a freshman that started last year. And is now moving up into pole position. He's coming back for a sophomore campaign. Camarion McCray, over 1,100 passing yards, and then another almost 200 on the ground. 17 pass touchdowns, 1 rush touchdown, 5 picks, 51.8 interceptions. As a freshman? As a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, sure.
I'll take that.
Yeah, like you're going up against 17, 18-year-olds on a weekly basis, and you're doing pretty all right for yourself.
Yeah.
And that also gives me a lot of belief that whenever he's a senior, there's going to be some real problems.
Yeah.
He's going to be dialed, and he's going to have a lot of play time that a lot of other kids aren't afforded, and that's going to pay off dividends for CCPA.
Absolutely.
I really like when you can get guys starting as young as possible, because getting that experience, showing them how those ropes work, it's something Winton Woods, like we're waiting on to see how that all plays out with their quarterback. But their quarterback was starting games, I believe, as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And so, seeing how that all falls into, is interesting to me. Marlon Robertson is who I assume that they're starting and focal point running back is going to be. Almost 500 rush yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. And then Malik Simpson had 200 and something behind him. Yeah. He's graduated, so that leads me to believe more touches going to him.
Okay.
And then another fantastic name, Sir Michael Miller, defensive end. He's a junior.
Very nice.
I know. Sir Michael Miller, 69 tackles, 9 sacks, 24.5 tackles for loss, and then a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Just fun.
Yeah.
You love those stats.
That's fun defensive stats.
Yeah, even if he didn't knock it out, he got to take it all the way back. Shout out to Sir Michael. And then Ramik Bell, he's also a junior. A lot of youth on this team. Nobody on this list older than a junior, the youngest being a sophomore. 57 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and a pick 6.
So in review of the CMAC, it feels like Taft is the leader, and to me, CCPA does feel like a little bit of this team could be nasty this year, but also you're going to be watching them for more years.
We're guaranteed to talk about them next year, probably the year after that with Kamarion, and also worth noting they're in different divisions of the CMAC, so like they could both technically win their sides, and what have you, but Taft is one of those schools that I am always looking forward to who they're playing out of conference, because like that's going to tell us so much about how like genuinely quality and how title possible they are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Easy enough, right?
Hey.
And then I already tipped my hand, but we're going to do the GCLs next week.
Yes. That's not the end, right?
No, we've got.
I don't remember
the MVC. No, you're good. You're good. We still got like the MVC, and then like the Southern Buckeye and Southwestern Buckeye, and I think there's another one somewhere in there. So we should still have
3 more weeks of these.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, and Indiana.
Yes. Well, but remember
that's just first week. Yeah.
And also worth mentioning before we get to the GCL stuff next week, Moeller will not be included because I'm not including the teams that I'm. Whenever I did
at the
that,
start of the year, yes. I'm sure we'll mention that again. But
yes, yeah, it'll be St. X and Elder. Shocker. Sorry.
No, because I was like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be St. X and Elder. We'll see.
No disrespect to LaSalle.
No, but when there's 4 teams and you've already eliminated one more is going to be left out.
Correct. Yes.
But yeah. To kind of wrap us up as we get into the final bit of the episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about an Olympic sport, and that's volleyball.
Yes.
And as I have said multiple times, volleyball is where I got my start with covering sports, and I will always fight that it is arguably the most exciting sport to watch.
Okay. I used to PA volleyball. Have we ever talked about that?
No.
In high school, I used to get paid like $20 a game to like go kill and ace into the thing.
I thought you were saying like a TV
no,
and I was like, oh, that's actually really sweet.
No.
Then you made it sound a little less cool, but
but yeah, the high school,
kill, block.
Well, I was 16 years old. I didn't know what was going on. Pretty much, just with less bass in the voice.
But yeah, if you haven't followed volleyball at the collegiate level, there's. It's like football, where there's a collection of powerhouses who have held on to that like top spot nationally for years now. Now it shifts down a little bit. The far and above team of all time is Nebraska.
Yes,
it is. That's why there were however many people that filled Memorial Stadium for a volleyball match before football even started 2 years ago now.
They reign supreme.
Yes, and Nebraska is a monster. Stanford was very good for a long time. Has been very good for a long time. Texas is a very good team as well. The two that are the thing is though that we are right by 2 very strong teams as well.
Yes.
UK Wildcats and Louisville, the Cardinals. Both of those teams just ran the SEC, their conferences, and were in those contentions for top 5 like all of last year.
Yes.
The thing that has come out of the difference from last year is the amount of transfers where they have pulled other players, and I think in a way the transfer portal has made volleyball a lot more top heavy because they are going to the programs that are because there aren't as many heavily invested in the sport programs like a football, where USC may not have done well in the Big Ten. They still have a lot of money going into football.
Yeah, Georgia Tech. Like you pick a school, they're putting a lot of resources into football.
Georgia. Yeah. Georgia's been doing well. Yeah. I was just saying Nebraska.
Yeah.
Wants to be the Nebraska of the 90s. They're going to
Northwestern.
Yeah.
Northwestern's putting money into it.
But the only reason I was going to not say Northwestern is just because you have no idea what they're spending because they're a private school.
That's fair.
But yeah, there's a lot more money being thrown around in college football. Volleyball, I think, in a way, has gotten a little bit of top heaviness. So it is the Texas's, Nebraska, Louisville's, Kentucky, Pitt. Penn State has been a powerhouse. The other thing is that they're all a lot in the Big Ten. Big Ten is a very tough conference to play in right now because even the lower end of the volleyball conference is a very strong conference to play in.
Yes.
But to bring that all back around and to bring up the point that I was even going to mention is that when they're not playing collegiately, a lot of these players are playing for Team USA. And so the U.S. women's under 21 just won a gold medal by sweeping Chile.
Right on.
Notably in there, the MVP is University of Kentucky junior outside hitter Brooklyn Delay. Scored 8 points on 7 kills and a block. There was, if I'm not mistaken, it was something like 50 points to like 10 total, or it was like the amount of outscoring across those matches. That match was insane, and it reminds me of like when Team USA goes and plays in the Olympics for basketball, and you're just like, oh, they have 132 to 40. Ooh, okay. But so that is one player from the Wildcats and the Cardinals who is playing in the Olympic. That is the under 21 team. The under 23 just got a bye through the quarterfinals of the Pan Am Cup and are heading to the semifinals.
Okay.
Do you want to guess how many players on that team are?
6.
No, but good guess. 4.
Okay.
2 from Louisville. And that is junior outside hitter Chloe Chacoin and senior middle blocker Kara Cressy.
Okay.
And then Kentucky has senior outside hitter Eva Hudson and redshirt sophomore Brooke Boltema, who fans may be listed or locals may be listing and know her name because she went to Ursuline Academy.
Yeah, right on.
Yes. And so those are 5 players total.
Yes.
How many of those do you think are on the Player of the Year watch list already?
I'm going to go with all 5.
4. But good guess.
Wait, how long is the player or the watch list?
The watch list is, I think, about 30 to 40. But like I think Nebraska's the only one with more than 2 players on it.
Got it.
And that's kind of
makes sense.
That's kind of how they've always stacked it, especially like early on, where it's like, oh yeah, there's just 2.
It's like, sure.
And I'll mention this, that Chacoin and Hudson both transferred from Purdue. That was a big thing in the offseason where they lost to Louisville before Louisville went on
to raid the cabinet.
Well, I mean, they ended up going to the finals and things like that. For both of them, they were like top of the Big Ten. They were National Player of the Year already on the watch list with Purdue, and I think being in a system where they were playing all 6 rotations.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no idea how Kentucky or Louisville plans on using them at this point. But I think if you're able to give them even just a second of rest, it's going to make them so much more unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that was just what, like, when you have a great player, you want to have them in as much as you can. When you have a lot of great players, you're able to rotate them out and things like that. But so Hudson, Delay, both on the list for Kentucky. Chacoin, Cressy, all are on that Player of the Year watch list. I think that Louisville is being kind of set up to be really strong. And I wouldn't be surprised if both of those teams were Final Fours this year. Nebraska is always just one of those teams that gets mentioned no matter what. But this is good. This is a fun year. Yeah. They're going to have the Broadway block party down in Nashville to kick off the season. There's a lot where it's an SEC and Big Ten kind of crossover. So UK will be playing Nebraska there. I believe Illinois is playing Vandy, and Purdue is playing Tennessee at that. So it's they're getting it out into bigger arenas, because a lot of the arenas and gyms that are already being used aren't filled to the max. I know, like, Louisville doesn't use. It's not like Louisville uses the Yum Center every game.
Right.
They have big matches that they'll get there and things like that. And I don't even think their basketball team uses it all the time. So I think it's huge for the sport to be able to get out into bigger and more in front of more eyes.
Yeah.
Because that is an ESPN event basically that they're going to be broadcasting.
You got to expand your horizons and get as many people. You got to make it as easy as you can on new people to watch.
Yeah, and that's why the finals this year, I believe, were on ABC and had the biggest viewership that volleyball has ever seen.
Yeah.
And, it all starts at the high school level, moves up to the college level, and we're finally seeing a pro level around with the Indy Ignite, the Columbus Fury. That I think it just benefits all levels in the long run, because if you're enjoying yourself at a pro game, you can go and see it arguably a lot more competitive in a way at the college level.
Yeah. And
then you're going back to the high school level to start tracking recruits and things.
Especially if you can find the window in quote unquote dead zones for sports. Like if May to August is the only thing you're competing with is regular season baseball.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the pro season for it is January to May or June.
And but then you're still I personally don't watch a ton of NBA, but you're competing with NBA. You're competing with college basketball.
Those are also not. I mean, those aren't. I argue those aren't necessarily competing, because in a city like Columbus, you don't have there's not another pro sport to go watch.
No.
And I don't think a ton of Columbus people are necessarily always watching the Cavs or things like that.
Sure, but I just mean in terms of if there's an Ohio State basketball game on,
yes,
or volleyball, I think that the less head-to-head other options,
and I think for the most part they are building around those as best they can. The Indy Ignite just they opened a whole event center in Fishers, which was huge. So they're not sharing Gainbridge, which is another big thing. Because adding one more team to that with the Pacers and the Fever already would be a lot. But I think the one benefit, too, is just that it goes right after the end of the college season. They have and really not even before the end of the college season, they have their draft, which is then them being okay, we want the rights to this player if they want to come play.
Got it.
So it's not necessarily like the NFL and the NBA where somebody's declared, and it's also why you don't see juniors leaving or anything, because it's still arguably a bigger sport at the college level. But that's just something that I'm going to say. If you start tuning into, because they put them on YouTube, it's pretty easy to follow along. If you can start tuning in, and if you enjoy a volleyball match, go watch a game, whether it be in Lexington, whether it be in Louisville, or right here in Cincinnati with Xavier, UC, NKU, Thomas More, Miami, all have very solid programs. Yeah. And there is the history in Cincinnati of having Olympic level players with Jordan Thompson, and I'm just saying you don't have to go too far to find more Olympic talent for volleyball. Right. And really the Midwest is the heart of volleyball right now. So
for sure.
Yeah. But that's all we have, I think, for this week.
Yeah, puts a bow on it.
Beautiful. As always, you can be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Be sure to subscribe to the Fox19 YouTube page if you want to watch the video version, or you can find it every week on the Fox19 website under sports and 19 on the clock. If you listen to the audio version, we come out on Thursdays, and then on Fridays comes out a new Gold Standard episode with Joe Daneman and Charlie Goldsmith. 80% of the time, I know that Jeremy has stepped in for an episode to give Joe a break. But if you want to hear more professional sports coverage, that's there for you, and we'll keep you covered on high school and college as we head into the seasons, and then you get to the final quarter. And that's your favorite time.
There we go. We're so close. We're so close.
So thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one.